Alright, so I thought we'd venture into After Effects this week and talk about an effect that we've probably all seen before where I want to animate the writing on of letters, like somebody's actually handwriting on screen. And I just want to animate it on. So obviously the first thing we need to do is actually create the text that we want to have animate in. So I'm going to select my text tool here in the toolbar, click inside the composition and just type a word. Let's do the word layers. Seems appropriate, I guess. I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and scale this up. And you'll notice that it's already using the font that I want to use, which is a font I got off the DaFont website. It's dafont.com. You can see over here in the text panel that it is Gelica. I guess that's how you pronounce it, but it's a free download. Go over there to dafont.com and check it out. But I need to make some adjustments to this lettering here. I'm going to grab the text tool here in the toolbar, and I'm just going to adjust the kerning between some of these letters. So we'll zoom in here and click right in between that R and the S, and over here in the text panel, I'm just going to use the scrubby slider just to nudge that in just a little bit. And let's bring these other ones in here a little bit too. Some of these I don't necessarily need to change. I'm going to leave that A and the Y alone. But let's just nudge this A in a little bit, just kind of close it in. That looks a little bit better. Okay. So we're wanting this, so what I want it to do is it looks like it's handwritten. I want it to actually animate in like it's being written onto this background. So, well, inside After Effects, there is a feature under the Effects menu under Generate that does Write On. And it works pretty well, but I actually like to use the stroke command in this case because it's a little bit easier and in my opinion gives it a little bit more control over the speed, and it does it sequentially and all this other stuff. I just like it better. Some people might use the Write On, but you can actually do it both ways. That's kind of a cool thing about it. You have an option there. So we've selected the stroke feature here on. Make sure that the text layer is selected when you do this. And let's zoom in here, and we're going to grab the pen tool here in the toolbar. And we're going to start, and you want to basically draw the paths in the same way you would actually write the letters. So we're going to start at the top of the L here and just click to start the path. And I want to keep the path in the center of the letters as much as I can. And this part could probably be the most tedious when you're starting to do this, but it'll be worth it when it's over. So it's going to draw these paths around. And we'll come up here, and let's just swing this around in the direction we want this to go, and we'll just bend this around that way. And I'm just going to command click off to the side just to deselect that path so I can start a new one over here. And we'll just draw that in there. And again, we're following the path that we would probably normally draw or write these letters in. Let's take that Bezier curve and point it in the direction we want to go. And just carry this around all the way to the other side. Command click off to the side. Let's do the next letter. So you can probably see how if you had a lot of words, that this would take quite a bit of time. And on this R, I'm just going to make two separate paths. So we'll start a new one here and come out here and just draw it out like that. Take that S all the way around and finish it up. Now, the good thing is that these are paths that we can edit after the fact if we need to fine-tune them or anyway. In fact, I can see that this in the L here is a little too close to this edge. So, take our select tool, let's select that path and just kind of modify that bend just a little bit so it's a little bit more centered. Looks a little bit better. Let's nudge this one in a little bit, and I think that looks pretty good. Okay. So now we're ready to do our Write On effect. So over here in the effects panel, we've got the stroke feature applied. I'm going to activate all masks. And over here, I'm just going to leave the color to white, and I'm going to increase the size until it covers the entire black area of my letters. And you don't want to go too big, because when it animates in, it's probably going to give you an undesired effect there. Now notice that the R is still peeking in here, and that's simply because of the positioning of those path points. So let's just kind of nudge that over and nudge this one down. I'll bring that one up a little bit. So now it's covering the entire thing. So we're going to go down here to where it says Paint Style and just change this from On Original Image to Reveal Original Image. Now, watch what happens when I take the end setting here and just drag this over just like that. You notice that it's actually going backwards with the write-on effect. If we go forward, it will write it on. So that's what we want it to do. We want to start at 0 because we want it to actually write on, not write off. So, but what I want to do first is when I drag through here, notice where the lines are going to intersect and see if there's any real big problems here. Now right there seems to be a problem because it's showing me that little bit of the letter, and I don't necessarily want it to do that right on this crossbar here. So let's just kind of nudge that path over a little bit. And notice we got a little bit going in there. Let's just make that path stroke a little bit smaller, and that should take care of it. So we're looking pretty good. All right. So now that that's taken care of, let's actually set the animation. So we're going to go in here, start, not necessarily at the beginning of the timeline. Let's just nudge it in a little bit on the time. And over here on this end setting, I'm going to click the stopwatch to set a keyframe. And you do want to make sure that this is set to stroke sequentially. And that means that it will start with your first path and then go to the next path you drew and then the next path until it completes the entire drawing. So we've set that keyframe. Let's nudge this over to about just a few seconds. And then we'll bring this up to 100. And let's narrow our work area. Do a RAM preview and see what we get. It's going to draw those frames out. As you can see, it's rendering the frames and giving me a pretty good rendered effect there by drawing out those letters. And it'll play full. So you can see it's writing in there, and it's going at a pretty decent speed. I'm probably happy with that, but if you decided you wanted to speed it up, simply twirl down and reveal the effects properties here. And you'll notice we've got the stroke animation here. And if you want to speed it up, you just simply move those keyframes closer together. And when we do a RAM preview, it's going to go ahead and draw those out a little bit faster. Just like that. There you go. So again, moving the keyframes closer together makes it move faster. Moving them further apart will make it go a lot slower. But that's a quick and easy way of doing an easy write-on effect right there in After Effects.